Good morning to our viewers in the United States and all around the world. It is Thursday, June 17th. And this morning, the new twilight zone that some Republicans in Congress and some deranged entertainers are trying to create surrounding the Capitol insurrection. A dangerous, deceitful, depraved twilight zone. One where they try to claim that what we know happened, what we saw happen, didn't actually happen. One where they try to claim that the heroes who saved lives, maybe their lives, do not deserve to be recognized as heroes, or in one case, even acknowledged at all. A twilight zone where they simultaneously say it didn't happen, but if it did happen, it was an inside job.
The echoes of what really happened on January 6th, they're still coming to light here more than 5 months later. Overnight, a judge released new videos of the insurrection in court cases against several defendants, including one accused of crushing a police officer. The FBI director admitting that hundreds more may face accountability, with investigations still ongoing. A watchdog testifying that it's still unclear who's in charge of security at the Capitol, despite the unprecedented security breach just a few months ago. A Fox propaganda host parroting Russian talking points, now jumping on an absurd, baseless conspiracy theory that the FBI was behind the attack. We'll have more on that in just a moment. You are about to hear from one of the heroes of that day, an officer who was assaulted. He says a Republican congressman who compared the attack to a normal tourist visit refused to shake his hand last night.
Refused to shake his hand. A police officer's. I want to begin with CNN's Laura Jarrett, who's with me here. Laura, I am struck by one of the things Brianna just reported there, that during testimony yesterday, an inspector general said it's still not clear to him who is in charge of security at the Capitol.
It's been more than 5 months. 5 months, and we still don't have answers about who's in charge. And you would think that by now there would be some sort of consensus, at least about the facts. We know about the deficiencies. And you can't help but think that part of the reason why is because the GOP doesn't want to confront the reality of what happened here, right? And so you have an independent watchdog, the inspector general, saying, look, I've made 65 different recommendations about what should happen to beef up security. Those haven't been acted on yet. We'll see what happens there. But he was asked by Senator Jon Ossoff about this situation involving security and who's in charge. So let's watch this exchange.
Who today, which individual, is ultimately responsible for the security of the United States Capitol?
So that would be a difficult question, but if you try to pin it down the best, it would say probably the Capitol Police Board has probably the ultimate authority.
I have to say it is not reassuring to hear that there remains this basic ambiguity about responsibility, command, and accountability.
So he says it's hard to answer. It shouldn't be hard to answer.
It's not a trick question.
It's not a trick question. But again, I think it's because there's not a shared set of facts. And so there isn't accountability. And it's almost as if we're in two parallel universes, right? We have the FBI director and other top members of law enforcement talking about white supremacy as a threat to domestic security. Christopher Wray is saying hundreds of potential suspects are being pursued. And yet, on the other side, we have a congressman who will not shake a police officer's hand, who suffered a heart attack, and completely in denial about what actually happened. And I can't help but think, to take a step back, can you remember in our lifetime a time when members of the GOP were so openly, publicly, and apologetically against police officers? Think about how long we heard about defund the police and using a cudgel against the Democrats. And now it's the Republicans saying, we can't talk about police officers. We can't even give them the gold medal.
21 voted against awarding a medal to the Capitol police officers who undoubtedly helped save their lives on January 6th. And now Liz Cheney, who clearly has split from the main thrust of where her party in Congress is right now. Liz Cheney yesterday took issue with those 21. Listen to what she said.
The police fought for us that day. They defended us. They, I'm sure, saved lives. They defended the Capitol. The idea that they wouldn't get a congressional gold medal is just, it's outrageous.
Should Kevin McCarthy do something about these members?
It's outrageous that they voted no on it.
It's outrageous that they voted no on it. Brianna and I talked a lot about this on air yesterday. But what are the justifications they give for voting against recognizing police officers?
They're pretty weak and they're pretty free of facts. They're squabbling about the word insurrection, but it's really a foil for what they really don't want to confront, which is the violence that day, right? And I think since the November election, we go through this every time someone says something outrageous, like Congressman Gozar, who doesn't have a lot of great relationship with the facts, shall we say. He's talking about Ashley Babbitt, the woman who scaled the wall, the broken glass. He's saying she was executed. He's saying the Capitol Police were laying in wait. Every time this happens, we say, where is the bottom? I think the answer is there is no bottom, right? I think November election the election has shown us this was fundamentally about power. It was a grab for power. And I still am baffled as to why. Donald Trump lost by 7 million votes. What are they so afraid of?
Maybe if you were going to award people for their behavior during an insurrection, you have to acknowledge that it happened. Maybe that's the gap there. They don't want to admit it happened, so they can't give anyone any acknowledgement over anything that happened that day. Laura Jarrett, great to have you. Thanks.